This is Sportish.
Do it better.
This is Sport.
On FTF, welcome in. I'm Jeff Brault. He's Dr. Keith Strudler, director of the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University. Our producer is Mike Wallace. While you're watching us right now, hopefully Thursday, 3 p.m. on For the Fans, you can also catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on podcasts, wherever you get them, Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and who knows where else. We'll get little snippets on LSN. Shout out to all our new viewers in the lacrosse world. We got something special for you coming up, so make sure that you stick around. But first, Keith, right off the top, we have huge news coming out of New York City this week. 11 Madison Park, the consensus best restaurant in the world. Well, Keith, they said a lot of things would never be the same after the pandemic. And 11 Madison Park, which was for the longest time number one on my list of bucket list meals, of death row, straight to the gas chamber meals, was having the honey lavender duck at 11 Madison Park. And no, look, Keith, I know I'm a man of the people in a great many ways. The one place I am not is with my culinary tastes. 11 Madison Park, Keith Strudler, has done something that I find exceptionally. I almost don't have the words to describe.
The English language does not have the breadth that for the emotion that you are feeling right now, right?
There is no word for the odd combination of rage and disappointment and disbelief that I have over the announcement that Chef Daniel Hum has made about his restaurant, that for so many was the pinnacle, was to be, you live your whole life to eat one meal at 11 Madison Park. And now, Keith Strudler, if you want to eat that meal, you're going to be eating a vegan meal. When they reopen after the pandemic, they will serve no meat. They will serve no fish. Everything on the menu will come from, I assume, dirt. And this hurts me to my core.
Yeah. So, first of all, I believe everything inevitably does come from the dirt. But that said, this marks one giant step for vegetarians like myself, one giant leap for cows, pigs, and fish. This is a remarkable day in American and global history. I see the world basically has two groups of people: meat eaters and good people. The good people have won. They say good guys finish last, nice guys finish last. Not today, because 11 Park has done the righteous.
11 Madison Park, get it right.
Whatever it is.
Show some reverence for the institution that was.
Whatever it is, they have come over to the bright side of the force. And by the way, this exposes all of your fraudulence. You proclaim yourself to be a man of the people and a nice guy. You're not a man of the people. How much does it cost to eat at 11 Park? Which now, by the way, you're eating
11 Madison Park.
All that's going to be left, I'm going to be sitting in 11 Madison Park, hanging out with all my bourgeois friends, eating things that I could probably pick in my backyard, and you are going to be hovered in a corner eating a cheeseburger out of a paper bag, because that's all that's going to be left for you. And by the way, we're coming for you, fast food, as well. The impossible revolution is here. It is all happening. You want to get, by the way, this is one place, there's some conspiracy theorists that say Joe Biden's coming for your cheeseburger. I believe they may be right. Joe Biden is coming for your cheeseburger, and I am all behind it right now.
I am not going to be on the street eating out of the paper bag, because here's where I'll be. I'll be right across town at Eric Rippert's Le Bernardin. You have moved straight up the list. That's where I'll be, enjoying some of the finest seafood in the world. And I am a man of the people. I'm a man of the people because this is an aspirational meal. I'm not showing up every other Tuesday to have this meal. You dedicate your life to working hard, to trying to do the right things. Then maybe one time that honey lavender duck will cross your lips. That's all you can possibly hope for. And now that experience has been ripped from me because of people like you, people that are vegetarian so that they can lord it over other people and make them think that they're better than others. And now you are literally ripping the canard from my jaws. And it makes my blood boil, Keith Struther, that you people are winning.
You're never going to eat at 11 Madison Avenue or whatever you want to call
it. 11 Madison Park.
You're never going to eat there. By the way, my wife has eaten at Le Bernardin. So she's already had that experience. You have not. She's a vegetarian too. She's a vegetarian. It was a work function. They had a big catered event there. So, and I think they had some kind of like signed chefs ate, like they had the whole experience. You would have died and gone to heaven. For her, it was no big deal. So that's the best part is not only will you not be able to go to this restaurant and enjoy it, you haven't. Have you been to any of these aspirations? What are your top 3 or 4?
Yeah, I have been to some, not this one. But yeah, no, it hurts.
How do you call yourself a person of the people when you aspire to eat a $500 meal? A $500 meal.
What am I not getting the wine pairing? A $500 meal? What am I having? Water? What's wrong with you? I call myself a man of the people because this is my unicorn. Like whatever it is that you want in life that is a luxury. Like for you, probably a second private jet. For me, it's one meal at Le Bernardin or 11 Madison Park. Like that's my aspiration.
Now you're down to 50%. You're down to 50%, and we're coming for you next. Boy, this is going to be great. What if Le Bernardin goes? What will you do if Le Bernardin says they're right? By the way, I do love, look, I know we have a sports show to do or a lacrosse show to do at some point. I do love, look, as you know, I'm a proud vegetarian. I've not worn leather for 25, whatever it is years. Like I am self-righteous to a fault. I am annoying, all of that stuff. And if I can't enjoy it, you shouldn't enjoy it either. But so that said, I do like the idea because I read the release, which I cheered along with, brought a tear to my eye. I love how they're like, it's no longer sustainable. We have to save the planet. Meanwhile, at the McDonald's down the street, it's like, I mean, it's a cow slaughter factory. Like they serve more cow at that McDonald's in an hour than this 11 whatever serves in a lifetime, right? I mean, let's be quite honest. When you go to a very fancy restaurant, there's portion control. You might actually leave and have to go eat afterwards. So the triple quarter pounder that people are shoving down their pie holes, which is done in a very non-sustainable way, is probably a bigger problem. But I am very excited about this. What if someone offered you the opportunity to go to 11 Street, would you do it?
Be tough, honestly. It would be tough. It wouldn't have the same. I wouldn't be as excited about it as I would have been if someone offered me that opportunity last year. It'd be difficult. Now I'm going to end this on a surprising note. I have had a Beyond Burger, one of those Impossible Meat burgers. I actually think they're really good. Okay. I think they're really good. You know what they're not better than? Cow, but they're really good.
You know who likes them more than real hamburgers? The cows. Cows are huge fans.
But you know what the best part about being me is, and also you and any human, top of the food chain.
Oh no. In fact, I mean, this is not a nice story. Apparently they just had to euthanize 3 bears because 3 little bears had a little bit more than porridge. Just read that story.
The bears were uprising?
The bears may have eaten someone. So
I'm looking. 11 Madison Park is going to stop serving animals. This is what happens when you get lenient on crime.
You're not. We are not the apex predator, by the way. Just take a little swim around the ocean and see how comfortable you feel.
That's not our house. You go into the ocean, you are stepping into the shark's domain. You shouldn't expect to be the top of the food chain there. But when you come on land,
no, walk around the zoo. Just take a walk around the Bronx Zoo and see how comfortable. Let them open it up. Let it be Visitors Day. Let's see how that plays out. No. This is the animals have risen. All right. And so I'm very excited. And if I wanted to spend $500 on a meal, I think that the most expensive restaurant I've eaten at recently is Gramercy Tavern. So
very good. Very good.
I didn't want to be there either, but I got taken to that. I mean, by the 7th course, I was like, can we go? Are we done yet?
There's actually a new trend in sort of elevated dining now where the courses don't end. They end when you say. Like, if you don't say, they'll just keep bringing you food until the restaurant closes. Are we going to go back to a Rob Duffy joke? I like to think everything goes back to a Rob Duffy joke. Okay, we have a show to do, a real show to do that isn't about, even though we could do all 47 minutes on the state of fine dining in New York City, because that is certainly what our audience is looking for. We have a lot of things to talk about in the world of sports. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and the hay that he made on draft night by saying he wants out of Green Bay. We're going to talk about how there is still fallout from the attempted Super League in Europe, and that Man United fans are very upset with their American owners, the Glazer family. And we are going to continue our journey to becoming lacrosse fans by auditioning our first team to be our team. We need a team to root for.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start our journey to finding one on this episode. But first, I want to talk about some big news out of the NCAA. They are continuing, and by they, I of course mean the NCAA, continuing to inch closer to recognizing that they need to make concessions to the players. Players being able to earn money off of their athletic ability, their name, image, and likeness. The courts or the government is probably going to have to force the NCAA to do that, to try to pacify the players in the interim. They're making a lot of concessions. One of them is that you can now freely transfer one time in your college career. Before, if you played men's basketball, women's basketball, or football, if you wanted to leave one school and go to another, you had to sit out a year in what's called a year in residency. Shockingly, you didn't have to do that in the non-revenue sports. However, if you played football or men's or women's basketball, you had to sit out a year. Now you do not. You can freely transfer. And Keith, let me tell you, people be transferring. Over 1,000 basketball athletes, both men and women, so 1,000 men and 1,000 women, are in the transfer portal seeking another school. They are moving on. And
look, of course, you first open it up. Yeah, you open it up, and this is like when you have your first fire sale. Obviously, everyone's going to get excited. I imagine this will calm down. And there are a lot of athletes that are particularly testy after what they may have perceived their universities to have not done correctly during the COVID situation. So there are a lot of athletes that think my school didn't handle it right. I'm going to find a school that handled it better. So that's part of it, I would assume.
I'm certain that's part of it. I also think right now it's just in vogue. So right now, because it's really cool right now if you're a college athlete to take the screenshot of your notes app on your phone that says how grateful you were for the opportunity at school X. But after talking to your family and advisors, you've decided to test the waters and see what else is out there for me. That's cool right now to get to make that Instagram post. I think that's going to stop being cool when people realize that even though you can now freely transfer, they did not increase the number of players that can be on the field or court at the same time. And I think a lot of folks are going to realize that the grass is not always greener on the other side. And that sometimes playing 35 minutes a game at a lower level is better than being the 12th man on the bench or the third string right guard at a school that's in the ACC, for example.
I 100% agree with you. And I also think, look, I deal with a lot of students that transfer in, transfer out. Well, we don't transfer a bunch out, but I certainly have worked with students who are considering transferring to other universities. I don't think this is simply an athletics issue. This is an issue for everyone. Transferring, look, when you choose whatever university you want to go to, you don't have to stay there, right? I mean, you can stay there, and this is true certainly for the general student body. It was more challenging, obviously, for athletes because things were being more compromised. But when you transfer, It is an inefficient process. It is harder to graduate. I don't care what anyone tells you. It is more difficult because you're not on the exact linear track, and you are reinculturating yourself all over again. So that period, that opportunity you had to make kind of these lifelong relationships and kind of follow a curriculum to its logical, conclusion is no longer available to you. But so that's A. But B, if we can, so you're right. I don't think the grass is always greener. You're going to run into the same. If you are this good of an athlete at one school, you're going to be this good of an athlete at another school. And part of the problem is I think I know where we're going, and the next story you're going to bring up about coaching in this regard at some point. Yeah. But I believe, and I think this is the social media age, and this is possibly also because the NCAA has had such a tight rein over student athletes and not allowed some of these student athletes to actually explore their value in the open market and find out that, hey, no one's really interested. Like, I'm not going to make money as a college athlete, which will become readily apparent to 97% of the athletes that assume that. And so as they are going through this process of looking for a better playing opportunity, what I'm concerned about is they have fallen into the trap of making their athletic experience at their university more important than their academic experience. And maybe that is the logical conclusion here. Athletes that are transferring because they're going to get a little bit more playing time at another mid-major school, you have to ask yourself, what's the end game here? Like, what are you doing this for? Because it's probably not going to get you to the NBA either way.
I just knowing a lot of college athletes, I think most of them do think of their athletic experience before they think of their academic experience, rightly or wrongly. I just feel like that's,
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Their number one thing. I also think that we should put this out there. I'm all for this rule, by the way. I believe you should be able to freely transfer as much as you want. I don't even think it should be one time. I think you should be able to go 17 times if you want. Who's to say? That's
fine. But I also think then if that is the rule, there are going to be a lot of universities that will realize I don't want the kid that's transferred twice. I'm not. If I'm a coach, I am not picking up the kid that's on his third school. I'm not doing it.
And I'm with you. I think that people should not treat the transfer the way they are, as in I only played 8 minutes a game as a freshman and they told me I was going to be the next big thing. So I'm out of here. I'm going to go somewhere else. There are some groups of people that I think this will hurt. I don't think they're the most important people in the equation, but I do think that from a fan perspective, this is going to significantly change the way fans feel about their teams, right? If you're a fan of college sports, one of the most fulfilling things is watching that person's career progress and develop and being like, oh, hey, we got this 5-star and they came in and we think they're going to do this in 2 years after so-and-so graduates. And then they finally get a chance and you start to see them develop and they're like, hey, now they might end up being a draft pick. They might go to the pros. We may be able to see them on Sundays next year. I think you're going to lose a lot of that, which, I can see from a fan perspective why you wouldn't like this rule. Doesn't mean I don't think it should exist, but I can understand why fans wouldn't like this.
Yeah, I'm 100% fine with the rule, let players transfer, but there again are going to be ramifications. At some point, an athlete will realize when you transfer 2 or 3 times, you're never going to graduate in 4, and in most cases, 5 years. You will run out of eligibility before you finish your degree. I mean, there are all of these, and it's not inherently these student athletes' fault. This is the problem. This is an NCAA issue and a problem that they likely have created by the system, by the system that has been placed in front of the athletes. So look, you're not going to see this problem, and you don't see this problem in Division III, right? In lower divisions, when athletes are, you could say what you want about Division I, Division II, Division III. I think there's virtues in all these divisions. The one thing you could say about Division III athletes is even though they may put their heart and soul into the sports that they play, and I think they do, Division III athletes, depending on what level of Division III they are, they train pretty hard. They care really deeply. But there really isn't an illusion that that's what they're there for. Generally speaking, I think once you have decided to play basketball at a Division III school, you realize you probably missed the cut for the NBA, and it's not worth transferring from. If you're transferring, it's probably not because you're not getting the playing time that you want.
Yeah, but they're also not being treated like professional athletes, high level, and I mean honestly, even at this point, mid-major and almost small Division I athletes in these big sports, football and basketball, they're being treated like or oftentimes better than professionals. I mean, the way you live and travel as a Power 5 basketball player is
Sure.
way better than you'll live and travel in almost any other basketball league in the world outside of the NBA. So
Sure.
obviously, when you're being treated like a professional, you're going to start to think that you're on that level, even though, like you mentioned, all but maybe 1% of them actually are.
Yeah. So are we going to talk about the life coach? I feel like
we are
that's
going to
where
talk
this
about the
is.
life coach, but there's another group of people that I think this transfer rule is really going to hurt, and that's high school athletes. I think now, if I'm a coach, right, and I know that I've got 25% of the player universe at my level in a transfer pool, why in the world am I going to try to figure out whether some 17 or 18-year-old skills at a high school from Lord knows where against what kind of competition, against, who knows where they are in their maturation process? Why in the world would I prefer that kid over someone who has played at the level that we play at, who has tape where I understand the context of that tape? Why in the world would I not rather have that kid? If I'm a coach and I got a choice between a transfer after their freshman year or signing some kid out of high school, give me the kid who's already played in Division I.
I think you're probably right on that. I do think, though, look, I think this is going to further stratify the levels within Division I athletics. There's going to be a very different mindset at the high major Division I programs than there probably will be at the lower Division I level, particularly ones that are kind of academic first programs. I think there could be a lot of coaches that are playing at a lower level that might take one philosophy, which is I'm going to recruit athletes that are aspiring to be at a university for 4 years because that's what they want. And I will help them along that process. And we aren't going to live and die about every win and every loss versus athletes, but teams that look, that's what already happens at high level Division I basketball. They're getting people for 1 year anyway. I don't think it changes the calculus a whole lot at all for Kentucky, increasingly Duke, North Carolina. I mean, that's what they play anyway. They're playing the 1 year and then they move on. And then I might fill in with JUCO athletes. It's kind of the game they already play.
Well, but I'm not talking about your Zion Williamsons and your kids that come out of high school and that only go to college because they have to, who really should be going straight to the NBA. I'm talking about the other 99% who aren't those can't miss kids. And the other side of the coin is, look, as much as there's going to be players that go to, say, a lower level and play really well and then think, hey, I can go up to a higher level, there's going to be the 15th guy on the roster at, UNC who's going to be like, well, I'm never going to play here, especially not when the best player from all these smaller schools is now coming to my team every year. So then they're going to go
UNC
backwards.
Greensboro starting to look pretty good, right? And I'll go down the street.
Exactly. This weird shuffle is going to happen. But honestly, I think a lot of people are overreacting about this. And in 3 years, it's going to balance itself out. Once all these thousands of people that are trying to transfer right now don't have a great experience, and that gets out, that it's like, oh, hey, wait. What I hoped would happen didn't happen. And then people, I think, are going to start to think twice about this.
It cost me an extra year. And the universities will start. If this causes universities lower graduation rates, don't think that they'll take that lightly. I think you might have some college presidents and athletic directors start to restrict their ability to bring in new transfer. I do think we should let it play out. I do think it's going to be a rough ride for the next year or two. And then, let's see what happens.
One other thing that might keep an athlete at their first university is if they're making good money while they're there, and not in the illegal way, but it sounds like eventually college athletes are going to be able to profit off their name, image, and likeness and make money off their social media followings or however else they would like to make money. Schools are starting to get ahead of this. One school is trying to get way ahead of this, and that school, as you'd expect, Keith Strudler, is Duquesne University. Yes. Duquesne University has hired the nation's first personal branding coach for their athletic department. They have hired a professional person who has actually started a marketing agency in the city of Pittsburgh to work for the athletic department at Duquesne University to educate athletes about how to personally brand themselves to be in a position to generate revenue from their social media pages or just their stature in the community, whatever it may be, so that they can actually set themselves up as money-making entities. Duquesne University has hired a personal branding coach.
So this is the part where we tell people how social media works and the amount of money that you make based off your Instagram and your YouTube followers and so forth. It's not much. You would be, it's not much.
It depends.
No. It depends. You're exactly right. It depends. But the barrier to what is real money is so much higher than most people realize. It's so much. So my point is, might a small group of elite athletes at top universities be able to achieve that? Yes. Is anyone at Duquesne University that doesn't have some eccentric skill otherwise able to accomplish more than a few dollars a week? No. I mean, that's just the reality. And by the way, there's only so many eyeballs in this country. If every athlete is chasing social media fame and social media dollars, it ain't going to happen. I mean, this is just the reality. They may think they're a big deal because they have 20,000 Instagram followers. That's going to amount them all of nothing. That's A. B, I do hope these people are preparing to endorse car dealerships because that is like, hey, like, you might make a few dollars like at the local pizza joint, like, but you know what? Madison Avenue's not going to call and be like, look, that shooting guard at Duquesne, that is how we're going to sell the new Camaro. Yeah. That's it.
But this isn't about making millions of dollars. It's about making money to support yourself by doing things like having camps with your name on it, being able to sell, your autograph or whatever, and being able to get paid for it. But that's a select few people, right? And I think that a great misconception with this name, image, and likeness thing is that the best athletes are going to make the most money, because that's not true. In my opinion, there is a very small subsection of the best athletes, your Trevor Lawrences and people of that ilk, who
by the way,
an awful lot of money.
Yeah, quick timeout. I bet you, though, honestly, they put less into it than you'd think because the big dollars are awaiting them. I actually think Trevor Lawrence is going to worry. They will build his brand. They will build his brand. He'll have an agent, but I think the big dollars come when he goes to the pros anyway.
I think the big dollars know that he's going to go to the pros and going to want to get in earlier for slightly smaller dollars than they would if they wait until that point. But the people that are going to most benefit from this are, like you said, the people that have an eccentric skill, right? Yeah. And the people that are just organically good at being on social media. We've said this on this program. It's been written about by people like Patrick Ruby and others. Like, name, image, and like athletes being able to profit off a name, image, and likeness could be the biggest thing to boost women's sports in the history of women's sports. Like, there is no one more tailor-made to make money via social media when given a platform than an 18 to 21-year-old female. Like, that is the pedestal, right? If you're trying to market something, like, you find a volleyball player with a personality, back up the truck.
Yeah, we're getting into a much deeper sociological issue. So there's going to be a watch what you wish for kind of moment at some point with all of this. But I agree. I still think it will be surprisingly small. I mean, if anyone from Duquesne is walking out with if anyone from Duquesne is making more money off of this name and image and likeness coaching than they would working a $15 an hour job in their spare time, I will be shocked. I mean, I'm not kidding. I will be shocked. It is pennies in terms of those kind of available dollars through kind of your Instagram kind of celebrity. I understand. I'll be proved wrong because there'll be one athlete that does it, but compared to the hundreds that think they will. Look, I know I was a big deal at Cornell cross country. I know a lot of people wanted a piece of this, and I couldn't do it. Right. But I mean, honestly, so is this coach going to be like, look, when you're working the kid's birthday party, remember, sign this way so it doesn't smell like who's hiring a Duquesne baseball player to come to their kid's birthday party? Like, who's doing that? Who's doing that?
I think we might be about to find out, because it feels like it's going that way. Speaking of things that we're going to find out in the near future, Keith Strudler and I need a lacrosse team to root for. We don't have one, right? We're trying to become lacrosse fans. And while we're learning about the sport, we also need to pick a rooting interest. Yeah. And that is the process that we are going to start right now. Our love is for sale, and perhaps it will go to the Brown Bears as Keith and I try to figure out which lacrosse team will be our lacrosse team. The first group to make their case comes from Providence, Rhode Island. Please welcome Eric Regan and Connor Terrio to Sportish. Guys, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having us. It's great
to be here. Look, I know we don't have to tell you, And I know we don't have to tell you because it's the second time we're doing this, because the first time we did it, one of us didn't record the interview.
There you go. Here we go. Air the dirty laundry. Just get it out of you. Does that make you feel better now? Do you feel,
now feel better? Yeah, it really does. It really does. So now I really know that I don't have to tell you what we're doing here, but we're on a network called FTF, which is the sister network of LSN, which is a place that you go to get all of the lacrosse games and lacrosse news and all that good stuff. And so being part of that family, Keith and I, who do not know much about the sport of lacrosse, want to dedicate ourselves to becoming the best lacrosse fans that we can be, but we don't have a team. So we thought, well, look, anybody can just look at, who's number one in the rankings and jump on a bandwagon and pick a team. That's not us, right? We want to go straight to the source, and we want to make sure that we are picking a team for the right reasons. This is our version of The Bachelor. So you guys are the first through the wall. Brown is the first team that gets a chance to make the case to be our team. So I turn it over to you guys. Why should we be Brown Bears fans?
Well, to start, I think the biggest thing is through the entire pandemic, with the uncertainty of playing or not, we are the only Ivy League team that has our entire roster still here. So all 55 kids on our team, with uncertainty of playing a game or not, without really knowing what's going to happen, we're all still here and decided to get better just because we want to be together and continue to build the culture.
And, going off that, our coach, Mike Daly, has really made it his mission to make us the blue collar team of the Ivy League. And so, for example, most teams get their field plowed when there's snow. And for us, we're literally flipping the benches over, and all the kids are pushing the bench around, trying to clear off the snow. So we like to think of it. We call it Brown State mentality here.
Interesting. Now, have you considered the fact that potentially that wasn't to make you the blue collar, the blue bloods, but rather because you have a small budget? Maybe they in the pandemic they had to find some edges, and they decided the snowplow was just a bridge too far.
We did think about that, but no, they've been doing it for years. So
So Brown has had a challenging lacrosse season. You're of course undefeated. You played one game this year. Now you are undefeated. That said, there's Jeff. There's a little controversy in this undefeated because I believe there actually were 2 games played. There was, of course, the New England battle between the Boston University, which you won handily, right, and exerted your might on the Terriers. But I believe there was also an inter-squad game, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And so,
now, is that brown tan? How do you do that? Is that brown white, brown tan?
Brown mauve? One team wears white. Yeah, one team wears brown. And actually, Connor and I, both of us won. So we're undefeated all the way.
So that was really my question, because really, to be fair, Jeff, only half of the team is technically undefeated. The other is now has a 500 season. Will there be a banner? Will there be a banner hung in the stadium for the Brown team, the Brown team? Is that something that will be celebrated?
I think there should be, personally, but
at least in the team locker room or something.
Yeah.
And I will say it speaks very highly of Brown and the caliber of people that are on the team that they sent 2 winners to do the Sportish interview. They could have easily picked their best players or their captains or flipped a coin or drawn lots out of a hats or whatever. They made sure to send us 2 winners. And so that speaks very, very highly of the group. But look, Keith and I are not just interested in stats, in wins. No. We're big on tradition. We're big on the esoteric. We're big on the interesting. I know you guys are new to the team, and I know you haven't had a lot of time to really, dig into all of the traditions and the rituals and all the things that typically go along with being an athlete. But are there some fun things, some inside, fan engagement things, some things that it means to be a Brown Bear that you can share with us that we can co-opt as our own and be a part of?
Yeah. So unfortunately, since Eric and I are both freshmen, we got to campus late this January. So we haven't been able to indulge in that many of these activities. But one cool thing that we did do this year, which our team does every year, is we all shaved our heads to raise money for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we did that. Sure. And you can kind of tell by the hair, and you can see the poster behind me. It's a whole head of hair.
Jeff also shaves his head.
I was going to say, I've actually been slowly participating in that same charitable involvement over 34 years.
Yeah, so it's basically that's a cool thing we've done, and we're definitely hopefully going to do more soon.
Yeah. Jeff, I know we talked about this a little bit off air. We'd like to, if the team is okay, because honestly, look, we love Brown. So what we've heard so far, we like. I'm sure we're going to like a lot of teams. So you're going to have to distinguish yourself. And in many ways, we're interviewing you. You kind of have to win us over. I mean, Jeff, I don't want to overstate our importance, but this is a very prestigious award that will go out to the desires of our affection. Are you willing to allow us to create some tradition, perhaps a team song, something of that nature? If we brought something to the Brown lacrosse community, would you be willing to take that as your tradition?
That would literally be a dream. I think everybody would be dying for it.
Yep. Excellent. Well, our work's ahead of us for certain, Jeff.
Well, I like that you set the bar high. I like that you know what you want. And look, well, guys, you're not going to get the job in the first interview. You certainly could lose it. But Keith, I feel very confident saying that Brown is going to stay on the list, at least into the next round of deciding which lacrosse team earns our fandom.
Yeah, this is no different than the NCAA tournament. I mean, so you've certainly advanced. And look, I'm going to say this. While my wife is a BU graduate, a Boston University graduate, I hate to tell her, we're not even going to interview them. We're not even. That was a play-in game you guys had. They're eliminated. So I believe right now you're in the lead in the New England sector. Of course, New England is half of lacrosse, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's a big. Yeah.
Eric McGann and Connor Terrio from the Brown Bears lacrosse team joining us here on Sportish. Guys, thanks for being the first squad to try to become our favorite team.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Keith, I don't think I've seen college students as excited for anything since 50 Cent Wing Night than the Brown lacrosse team were to try to be the official lacrosse team of Sportish.
That's going to reverberate through the industry. And that's a warning shot they just sent out. And don't think that when this airs, obviously this week, that there aren't going to be a lot of hungry athletes, that from a lot of teams that now realize they're playing catch up already. And I am certain, look, they're nothing if not competitors. So I'm excited to see what the other schools are going to bring.
I am a little nervous that when they take the field next spring at Keith and Jeff Stadium, that because I'm assuming that's next, that there may be a storming of the pitch if we do not select Brown as our official team. We could go full Manchester United. Do you see what happened with Manchester United in Europe this last week?
Well, I was, because I do, believe it or not, watch quite a bit of soccer on weekend mornings, and I was getting ready for a Man U Arsenal game, which Liverpool.
This is what happens when I do the full story setup. And we leave it to Keith's memory. You were getting ready for a Manchester-Liverpool match.
Yep, I was.
Before Man U Liverpool.
And I turn on, and I was actually watching some other game. I believe it was a Sheffield United game, the team that you took a pot shot at a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Were they playing Luton Town?
No, but they don't look like they're going to be in the Premier League for long. They did not look. They'd be fine being in the Super League. So, and then they turn it on, and there's people, they're being good old fashioned British hooligans, soccer hooligans, and they are protesting. And look, obviously in the era we're in, I assume just because there's certainly quite a bit of social unrest globally, and obviously the pandemic has driven that more. I assumed that this was a larger social issue. I was like, oh, they're pro, and literally this is true dedication to the crowd. They're just protesting because they hate the owners. So this is all about soccer.
So Manchester United owners, the Glazer family, the same family that owns the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in America, they were, as it sort of come out, they were the brains behind the Super League. They were one of the major driving forces behind the Super League, which Manchester United fans, and I mean, let's be honest, almost all soccer fans universally hated so much that even though it's now, as best anyone can tell, dead on arrival, that there will be no Super League, at least not in the foreseeable future, they are still so angry that they stormed the field in a closed stadium, by the way, and forced the Manchester United Liverpool match to be postponed. Respect? I think I respect that.
I don't think I can respect that because now no one gets to watch soccer. No one gets to watch. So that's great. They had their fun. I don't get to watch. I will tell you this. I just don't know how you get to that point in your life where you are. There are a lot, you and I get angry about a lot. Like you more than I, you will hold a grudge until the end of time. There is someone that parked at a parking spot that you thought was rightfully yours like 12 years ago that you still are worried about. And when I see that Pontiac again,
right. It's a green Honda Civic, Massachusetts license plate, FXH.
So, you more than I am a little bit better at letting things go and it doesn't bother me. I don't know how you get to the point where you're like, look, I'm a huge soccer fan. This is the team I love. They're going to play today. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to make it impossible. If you're going to end a game, you would assume it's for disco demolition night or something like that. I just don't understand how you get there.
Well, it's because they're trying to force the owners to sell the team. They're trying to make it.
But they're not going to. They're not going to.
Almost certainly not, but they're going to try. And gosh darn it, if we learned anything from Les Miserables, it's that when the proletariat rises up. Wait, that might be a bad example.
I've seen that play.
I actually don't. I don't think that ended the way we would have wanted it to. And that's how this is going to end too, because the Glazer family won't sell the team because this is how the world works, Keith. I don't have to tell you this. The billionaires usually win.
Now people are going to believe that I'm some kind of billionaire. I cannot buy news. Public service announcement to Sportish Nation. I cannot buy Manchester United. I do not have the capacity. Stop emailing and tweeting at me. I cannot write a check. I'd love to be able to do that. You know what I would do though if I bought Manchester United. I would get that Super League right back together. You know that. Anyone who's that rich is not going to be like, hey, I'm going to buy the team and I'm going to turn it back to the people. If you're buying that team, you're buying it because you want to make as much money as humanly possible. I wouldn't start the Super League. I'd start the Super Duper League. I might cut half of that riffraff out.
Nobody knew how Tottenham got in there in the first place.
What the heck are they doing in this league? Who let them in?
The last thing that I want to talk about.
How many Italian teams get into this thing? Come on.
I am on record as not being a fan of drafts. I do not understand why people watch drafts. I understand slightly more why you might watch it on television. Why these people are attending in person. I don't get that. I would like to extend a big thank you to Aaron Rodgers for making the first night of the NFL draft a little bit interesting when he basically decided to steal all of the thunder from Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and all the other top picks by saying that he doesn't want to play for Green Bay again. That is what I live for. Aaron Rodgers, is he dangling the carrot of potentially being the next Jeopardy host over the Green Bay Packers saying, look, you either trade me or I'm going to do Jeopardy? I hope so.
Did anyone ever think that Jeopardy, the institution, would have this much leverage over the future of the NFL, over who's going to play in the Super Bowl next year? Did anyone ever imagine that there would be so much power held in the production house in California? So look, the draft they do always do a nice job of the draft.
It's fine.
Now, it got to be a little busy. This is like the donuts that I eat that you hate. I'm like, why don't they shove it with 17 more? Like, why don't we put Captain Crunch on it now? And why don't I get an elephant to sit? Like, it was like, let's have a rock concert and then let's do a draft and let's bring people up and then let's announce the guy that's helping to save the world. Like, there was 18 things going on. I had no idea why people were sitting on the stage. I don't think they knew why they were sitting on the stage. And then all of a sudden they just kept cutting back to Kings of Leon. They'd be playing like, the second pick of the draft, Zach Wilson. King of Leon, take it away.
My favorite moment was when they brought out the Isley brothers for some reason, and the Isley brothers went to the person sitting in the odd, like, Roger Goodell basement chair on the stage and just stopped there and just looked around for a while. And they had to bring out the stage manager to be like, you guys got to go to the podium to do the pick. And they're like, we got to do all the way.
That's your ex. So it got very confusing. But I will say this. Aaron Rodgers has now exerted all of his influence, right? All of his influence. He has decided that he is going to be the person that clearly has a Jeff Brault-like grudge capacity, but he has the one thing that Jeff Brault does not have, which is the ability to have people care about that grudge. Like, you can hold a grudge against the dry cleaner that didn't get the stain out of their shirt. No one cares. Like, literally no one but you care. He has the ability to get a lot of people to care. And it sounds like he is going to potentially be making some demands. I mean, we're in a massive game of chicken now. He has the ability to make some demands of his GM, not really even his owner, because technically the team is owned by the people. Technically, kind of.
Well, that's not wrong. Can I hit you with a conspiracy theory?
Well, this show is nothing if not a conspiracy. I love it.
Aaron Rodgers is engaged to Shailene Woodley, actress. Right. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. One of the teams that needs an elite quarterback that did not draft one, the Denver Broncos. Shailene Woodley lives in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
Do you think, Keith Strudler, that the second lead of the Divergent series is pulling the strings behind NFL quarterback rotations?
So I'll say one thing here. It would be shocking that someone would not want to leave Boulder, Colorado and move up to Green Bay, Wisconsin. It would be shocking. By the way, I understand, and then I got another thing to say. I understand that Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, He's also, 38, 39 years old. Are we getting carried away here? Are we getting a little carried away?
Yes, he is old. And that is one of the great faults in his stars. However, look, I don't think that it's a big little lie, Keith Strudler, that Aaron Rodgers has some good years left in him. And I think his woman might want him to play those out in Colorado.
The one thing I'm thinking, because everyone's talking about the leverage that Aaron Rodgers has, which he can make demands of the GM, right? Which is like, and it was money. And clearly someone who's worth several $100 million, whatever he's worth, money, an extra couple million doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot for you at some point. Yeah. There was even the theory that he should ask him to quit. He said, I'll come back, but we have to fire the GM. I think they should take this step further. I think he should have some fun with this. He should say, I will come back and play for you, but before every game, you have to come out dressed like Tina Turner and sing Private Dancer in front of the stadium. Like, he should do things. He should have a little bit of fun with this. You're like, you have to, when I walk out, when I come out into the stadium, you have to dress like Macho Man Randy Savage and yell, snap into a Slim Jim.
Sure. I mean, heck, why choose? Because let's be honest, Tina Turner and Macho Man Randy Savage wore shockingly similar outfits. But
Tina Turner, I was watching Tina Turner and Bryan Adams. They are so good together. They're doing like, how is that not talked about more often? How is that not talked? Their live performance.
I like your idea because Aaron Rodgers is essentially untradeable. Like, the cap hit that you would get from trading him, you almost can't do it. So that may be the only resolution to this saga.
I got this. Maybe they should have one of those, like a lottery thing, and it's just a big thing filled with awful things. And before every game, they stir it up and they pick out the awful thing that the GM is going to have to do. They're going to be like, pull it out and be like, wrestle with the bear, and it's just going to be kind of like what's the Will Ferrell basketball semi-pro, kind of like that, where it's a terrible promotion before. I think Aaron Rodgers should enjoy his final year in Green Bay.
Maybe one of those things in the hopper will be watch an entire episode of Sportish, like all you fine folks just did, because that's all the time we got for this edition. We hope we'll see you next week on FTF. In the interim, go to ftfnext.com for archives. Check us out on YouTube and download our podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere that you can get your podcast. For Mike Wallace and Dr. Keith Strother, my name's Jeff Brault. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Sportish. See you next time.